Now joined by Greg Barton. He is the chair in global Islamic politics at Deakin University in Melbourne. Greg, good to have you on the show. With the killing of Ayman al Zawahiri, I mean, what does this mean for the group, for Al-Qaeda? Because when you look at Al-Qaeda today, it is a terrorist organization that comprises of different networks around sort of a loosely bound central control.
Yeah, the short answer is we don't really know what it means for Al-Qaeda. It's a really impressive achievement. It's very significant. It was very difficult to pull off. And yet we don't know how much it will damage Al-Qaeda. Zawahiri was a very formidable leader, a founding leader together with bin Laden, a great manager. He's kept the organization together these last 11 years since the death of bin Laden and through the Arab Spring and the rise of Islamic State and the rupture there. But he's not charismatic. He's not very good at recruiting. He's respected, but a lot of the operational decisions would have been made by branches in Africa and Yemen and beyond, rather than out of the central leadership team in Afghanistan. So it's an impressive achievement by the US, but it's by no means the end of Al-Qaeda, and it may even lead to intergenerational renewal for Al-Qaeda.
Greg, tell me this. When the Taliban in Afghanistan comes out and calls this U.S. drone strike, quote, a violation of international principles, what does this mean? I mean, does it leave any doubt in your mind that the Taliban has or continues to have links with, close links with Al-Qaeda?
Apparently, Zawahiri was hit standing on a balcony in a upmarket neighborhood of mansions, a walking distance from the compound of the US Embassy in central Kabul. That suggests he was hiding in plain sight, not effectively as it turns out, because he assumed the protection of the Taliban leadership. This house was owned through an aid of Zahruddin Haqqani, of the infamous Haqqani family, the backbone of Afghanistan Taliban. That suggests not only was Afghanistan Taliban supporting Al-Qaeda, they were acting as partners, as indeed that's the historical record. Of course, Al-Qaeda was formed in Peshawar in 1988, and it's been operating out of Afghanistan and Pakistan for the last 35 years. There's a long and close association with the Afghan Taliban, particularly the Haqqanis, and this just confirms that.
Could we expect a reprisal attacks? I mean, whether it's from the central command of Al-Qaeda or so these offshoots where like Boko Haram or Al-Shabaab, across the world.
Yeah, it's a good point that you make, the offshoots. Al-Qaeda's strength is in this decentered series of franchises and affiliates like Al-Shabaab. Yes, I think groups will do what they can do because they want to keep this brand strong and keep their own branch identity strong. Certainly, Al-Qaeda is more potent here and now in places that are suffering from a collapse of good governance, places like Somalia or northern Nigeria or Yemen. Al-Qaeda struggles to put together attacks in stable global capitals where police counterterrorism intelligence normally manages to disrupt and thwart attacks. But we should be on the guard. They will try and do what they can where they can. Of course, a lone actor attack in any city in the world is always a possibility.
Greg, do you think that this killing of al-Zawahiri somewhat justifies the August withdrawal of the U.S. troops? Because Zalmay Khalilzad, who was the former top U.S. liaison with the Taliban, or to the Taliban, said that this was proof that the U.S. can actually protect its interest against terror threats in Afghanistan without a large and expensive military presence there.
No, long story short, I don't think this proves that at all. I mean, it shows that the U.S. is still capable of doing what it can do as need be. This was a very high value target, a $20 million price on his head, being tracked for 20 years. And apparently this operation was 6 months in the planning, the last 2 months intensive surveillance, and it was executed apparently very well and apparently without civilian casualties. So credit to that capacity, but it's a very hard thing to do. The US and its allies were immensely more powerful before the rise of the Taliban regime in Kabul. They had many assets, that much cooperation. They presumably still have intelligence assets on the ground, including in the capital, Kabul, but operating under extreme difficulty. So they're much more constrained now. That doesn't mean they can't do stuff like this attack, but it means it's very hard to do. So I don't think we should sort of overstate, the understandable celebration in Washington that they can do this. But this rhetoric about over-the-horizon strikes needs to be put in context. It's hard to do, and it's limited capacity.
Okay, Greg Barton, always a pleasure having you on and hearing your analysis. Thank you.